Nothing changes if nothing changes. That is why I'm sat here talking to you in this 30-minute non-edited video. Yes, I will not edit my breaths. I will not edit me pausing to drink water. Hi, my name is Misha, the Barista Witch, and let's get into why nothing changes if nothing changes. Is your life kind of mulling along? The same thing is happening every day. Maybe you're putting in a lot of effort, but you're not getting any different results. You're working really hard, you're dating, you're trying to find your partner or what have you, but things are still the same. Well, nothing changes if nothing changes. This was said to me by one of my friends the day before he went into rehab for a very serious opioid addiction. And I was like, right, exactly. And this happened like a few months ago that he finally, got help and got clean. And me as a full-time yoga teacher, as a full-time Jyotishi, a Vedic astrologer, I'm contemplating going to law school. I graduated from the University of Cambridge in 3 years, pre-law, contemplating going to law school because as much as I love yoga, I'm starting to learn that I love practicing yoga more than I love teaching yoga. Now, let me be clear. I do love teaching yoga. I love it so much. And personalities attached to yoga fucking annoy me. There is, for some reason, this idea that as a yogi, as a yoga teacher, as a yoga practitioner, as yoga studios, whatever, that everything should be peace, love, om shanti. This very toxic positivity mindset that only exists in the West. Because if you go to India, where yoga originated from, where it comes from, that is not the case. They do not have this mindset that yoga is for everyone, because it's not. It simply isn't. If that hurts your feelings, don't type it in the comments, because I inherently don't care, because you are wrong. I said what I said. Yoga is not for everyone. Swimming isn't for everyone. Gymnastics isn't for everyone. Ballet isn't for everyone. Not everything is for everyone. But because yoga has this like spiritual, feel good component to it, people think that means they can come in and behave fucking insane. I've been teaching yoga for 13 years, practicing for 24 years, and I have seen some heinous shit. Just the other week, someone tried to steal my hat from my cubby, a student, my own custom hat. That is mine. Let me show you. And again, this is unedited, so you're gonna wait here. Let me show you. My hat was in my cubby, and I have a routine of when I come into the studio to teach class, I take my sunglasses off, I take my headphones off, I put them inside of my hat, and I put my hat in the little cubby along with my other belongings. This hat that says, meditate, manifest, mind your business. Tried to steal my hat, and then he gave me a huge fucking runaround about getting it back. Had to threaten to go to the police. Is it that serious over a hat? No, but it's the principle. Don't steal. The yoga studio owners were helpful to a point, but they didn't take it serious. Working for another yoga studio that I just quit because the owner, while she's running around preaching, follow this yoga philosophy and this thing and be this type of person, is having an affair with a married man. Right. Asking me to use my Jyotish, my Vedic astrology, to look into his chart to see if he's going to break up with his wife. Mind you, they have children. These are the type of people who I've been working with. So I had to sit down with myself, and I was like, at the end of the day, I am the common denominator in all of these scenarios. And it seems like it's me. The call is coming from inside of the house. One thing I notice is that with several of these places that I haven't even talked about, other yoga studios that I'm not even gonna give them the attention, I didn't trust my intuition. I didn't trust my gut, because at the end of the day, this is a capitalist society and I need money. And yes, did I see red flags? Yes. Did I choose to ignore the red flags? Yes, because I need to pay my bills. But nothing changes if nothing changes. So for me, if I continue to ignore my intuition, ignore my gut feeling about, hey, I actually don't fit here, I don't belong here, I don't like the value system of this place, I don't like how it's run, operating from a place of needing money. We are currently in an insane recession. It is August 2026 in America. I live in New York City, you know. Please consider subscribing to my Patreon to help support me, or at least subscribe to this channel, like the video, etc. But nothing changes if nothing changes. So I've made the decision to start studying and finally take my butt to law school, because at the end of the day, it literally is in my chart to, yes, be a yoga teacher, but more so to be an attorney. So for you in your life, genuinely sit down, ask yourself, what can you change? What's like one little shift that you can do? I remember distinctly, it was February, it was like the third week of February. And I remember I wasn't like practicing Ashtanga like at that point, because I took a little break for the pandemic, for the panorama. Over the pandemic, rewind, I stopped practicing Ashtanga because we were locked in our house. Well, I was practicing at home, but I stopped going to studios because we were locked in our homes fighting over toilet paper. So I couldn't like physically go to a space. And I ended up moving back to New Jersey. So I didn't have like, you know, I don't drive. I was quite far from public transportation, very isolated, living with a shitty little ex. But I didn't have access to get to studios to practice. I didn't have the money to go and practice. And so I was just doing my practice in my home for a long time, from 2020 up until literally like 2025. I was practicing Ashtanga at home, which keeping up a daily practice at home takes a lot of discipline and dedication, but I did, and I did my best. But finally, I like woke up one day after working at a really fucking disgusting yoga studio in Jersey City, New Jersey, taking the path, running back and forth to this place where I experienced the most insane microaggressions from the white people who work there. I heard the owner herself say to me with eye contact, when I gave her some advice about how to run a program in a way that would be respectful to India, she said, "Who was that person to tell me what to do with my studio? She doesn't even live here. She lives in India. She's not even from here." Racist. Mind you, that owner also an immigrant, but cool. Dealing with all these things. And I was like, you know what? Nothing changes if nothing changes. Spoke to my dad and he was like, "Misha, you just recently moved. Aren't you closer to your Ashtanga teacher?" And I was like, wait, I am. Sometimes, I don't know about you guys, but when things are big and I'm feeling overwhelmed, I forget about like obvious solutions. And sometimes it's nice just to have a friend or someone there, a loved one, to be like, "Hey, did you forget that this other thing is an option?" So my dad was like, "Hey, you should just go practice with your teacher again." And I was like, yeah, duh. Woke up, I said, nothing changes if nothing changes. I just showed up. And I was like, today I am changing my life. And I did. And I did not look back. And I got back into my practicing with my teacher practice. And I'm realizing that I love my practice more than I do teaching. Which is also why I'm moving my teaching more so full-time to Patreon, where I can control it. And I have a say-so in how things go, because I am a purist. I'm a traditionalist. I am really, some people would say stubborn, but like, I think we should respect yoga and that it comes from India. I think we should use the Sanskrit names for the poses. I think that we should do our best to teach it authentically and honor this tradition. I've been in spaces that asked me to told me to not say Om at the beginning of class or Namaste, because the racist white people who attended the classes would complain and say that religion was being forced upon them, which is so inherently stupid and incorrect, because there is nothing religious about that. Additionally, why are you in yoga class acting surprised that you hear the word Om or Namaste? Go to fucking Soul Cycle, go rock climb, go to High Rocks, go run, go do anything else. So nothing changes if nothing changes. I left those spaces. I still teach at a few spaces, but I have cut down my teaching in yoga studios significantly because I kept running into the same issue. And I was like, well, bitch, the call is coming from inside of the motherfucking house. Nothing changes if nothing changes. So I have to remove myself instead of trying to control my external environment and think that things are going to change through my force of will or, giving a stern. I'm wasting my time. I'm wasting my energy. You know what? Thank you for the opportunity. Mango's talking to the birds. Thank you for the opportunity, but also thank you next. So nothing changes if nothing changes. And now back to you. In your life, is there a situation where you feel stuck? Maybe it's in your dating life, in your romance. Are you dating the same person, but just with a different name and a different face? Nothing changes if nothing changes. Give that person who doesn't fit your normal Mango. I don't even see the bird. Oh, I do. Oh, that's where they are. Oh, it's like a bunch of pigeons. You tell them, mama. Anyway, sorry. But sometimes, and I speak from experience, there has been a trend, at least for me, of dating the same exact person, but they just have a different name, different face. And the same thing keeps happening. The same type of issues because I'm not learning my lesson. So nothing changes if nothing changes. Maybe go on a date with that person who is the complete opposite of someone who you would normally date. Give it a whirl. You might find that it works out for you because if you constantly dated the same person and it wasn't working out, what is going to make this be any different? Nothing changes if nothing changes. With work. Now this is, again, sometimes you can't just up and quit your job, obviously, because you have bills. Maybe you have responsibilities. Maybe you have children or people who you take care of, especially if you live in America right now. I understand. And I am not gonna Beyonce, release your anger, release your job. Crazy as hell when she told everyone to quit their jobs and then a month later was like, and I'm going on tour, buy tickets, which I still did. But maybe start at least preparing yourself for a shift. But notice if you're doing a lateral shift. Like let's say, for example, if you are a server in a restaurant, tip your servers well, please. But let's say if you're a server in a restaurant, and you just simply work in a restaurant, toxic restaurant behavior. As a former server myself in college, yes, depending on where you work, it can pay you coin, especially if you do a double and you're getting cash tips. You could walk away with stupid amounts of money. And what is your sleep like? Do you actually get to hang out with your friends and family? Do you actually get to enjoy the spoils of your work? Do you actually have, what's your quality of life like? And then if you leave that restaurant, do you just simply hop over to another restaurant as a server? Nothing wrong with that, unless there is something wrong with that. Maybe consider applying for the managerial position, applying for hostess. Maybe you save your coin and then try something completely different. Maybe you have a skill set that you want to explore. Maybe you can take classes to learn, but play around with it because nothing changes if nothing changes. Take a risk. Fuck it. The worst case scenario, you're in the same exact situation that you started in. I'm just saying, would you rather, in God willing, however old you are right now, but at the end of your life, if you have the ability to reflect and look back at your time here in this embodied meat suit, would you want to say, at least I fucking tried. I took risks. All of my idols, all the people I admire and look up to, whether they are famous or just people in my life, just normal day-to-day, unknown to the public people, they have always taken a risk and put themselves out there and applied for something, done something out of the box. All of this weird commentary now, primarily from Gen Z, I'm not Gen Z, I'm millennial, I'm 34 years old, about being cringe and not wanting to look cringe. So you would rather care about the opinion of, sorry, but mediocre, boring strangers on the internet who don't have the courage to take a risk. You would care more about that than doing your calling and your passion? Do you think Lady Gaga gave a fuck about looking cringe when she showed up in a meat suit? Do you remember that? You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't have to go crazy like that, dude. She showed up at one point in an egg. Do you really like just do something, because nothing changes if nothing changes. And 9 times out of 10, people who say that that's embarrassing and that's cringe, they lack the courage, the discipline, the mental fortitude, the creativity, the imagination. They lack. So they project and they try to keep you down with them, because as long as everyone is the same, they don't feel bad about their life and their circumstances, because they're the same as everyone, rather than understanding that they're actually basic. I'm here to say it. I'm not a peace, love, Om Shanti yogi. I'm a bitch from Plainfield, New Jersey. I said what I said. Also, if you are a Black, creative, tatted, likes yoga, tarot cards, astrology girly from the Jersey, New York area, please follow and comment, because I'm trying to find community. Please, 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 please. Water break. I encourage you to hydrate. And again, as that creator said, nothing changes if nothing changes. I'm trying a new format. I'm not editing out my water breaks. So, in your life, and I want you to, maybe even if you feel compelled, drop it in the comments. Not even if you feel compelled, do it. Nothing changes if nothing changes. Don't be scared. What's something that you want to change? We can work on it together. Maybe you need an outside person to help you, give you some, outside POV to your situation. Drop it in the comments. What's one thing in your life you want to change? It could be your workout routine, your diet, your fashion or lack thereof, your home aesthetic, your hair, your makeup, your job, your boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever. What's one thing that you want to change? And what do you feel like is like kind of keeping you stuck or like holding you back from actually making that leap or making that change? For me, 9 times out of 10, if I'm feeling like stuck in something but I don't want to make a change, usually it's a fear-based reason. Maybe fear of failure, like okay, but what if I try and take this risk but then it doesn't work and then I like wasted time? There's no such thing as wasted time. You got to try. And life is an experiment. And every time you try, you're just collecting data. You saw that when A plus B equaled C, did you like C? Did it work out for you? Or maybe you're like, fuck C, let me try A plus W and see what that gets me. Like, you know what I mean? You have to play. Most people fail a lot before they actually succeed. Sometimes you're one of the lucky few and you do something and it takes the fuck off and you thrive. And that's incredible. Good for you. Snaps. But you have to fail a bunch before you can actually make it. It's like trying a new recipe. You have to keep making it until you perfect it, until it becomes just habit. When I asked my grandma for her sweet potato pie recipe, when I tell you, she was like, oh yeah, so add some sugar, add, 1 egg, 2 egg, add like however many potatoes you want. I'm like, Grandma, what? She's like, I've been making this for 50, 60 years. I don't know. She just got into it until it becomes natural. Do you think she gave a fuck about other people's opinions about it? No. She's also, my grandma don't play. But I digress. But don't be afraid about looking cringe or failing. Another reason, at least for me, why sometimes I don't take a risk, is what if like I'm not the right person? Like sometimes I gaslight myself with imposter syndrome of just like, oh, well, I'm not qualified for this. I would just like to pause and look at who's running the government right now. None of those motherfuckers are qualified, and yet they are at the highest position of the land, ruining our fucking lives. The wrong people have imposter syndrome. Throw imposter syndrome out the window. Acknowledge it, sure, but at the same time, do it anyway. I read a study, don't ask me to quote you who wrote it, I don't remember, but I remember reading it with my eyeballs, that said job boards like LinkedIn and ZipRecruiter, all those things, they collected their data and they found that men will always apply for jobs even when they don't even meet any of the criteria. They don't even meet 50% of the criteria, and they will still apply anyway. Versus women will try to meet at least like 70, 80% of the criteria before they even apply. So if you have imposter syndrome of thinking that you're not qualified, that you're not capable, that you're not ready, no, because nothing changes if nothing changes. Maybe you are not capable right now, but you can also work really hard to develop that skill, to get better at it. I wasn't a YouTuber until I became a YouTuber. You never know. So nothing changes until something changes. Do you keep, again, going back to this relationship, dating that same fuckhead? Dump him. Maybe be single for a while. Are you in a habit of relationship hopping? Maybe try being single. Getting to know yourself first. Do you even like your own company? Take yourself out on a date. It doesn't have to, spend money. You can go to the park and read in the park. One of my favorite things to do, 2 dates I love to take myself out on or 3 dates. I love to walk myself, going for my walk and just being by myself with my music or silence, just to be with myself. I see a lot of couples going for walks. It's super cute. I like to go to the park and read by myself. It's really, really nice. And I also like to go to my favorite bar and sit at the bar, order my whiskey sour, wear my little ears, and just read. Because sure, I can sit at home and wait for someone to call me, but right now I'm apparently in an era where I can't stand men. Some man tried to approach me the other day and I went, because why would a man be there? But like, sorry, I'm trying so hard, but they just make it so difficult. But nothing changes if nothing changes. And if you're in a habit of either relationship hopping, try being single, or like me, like just in an era of being like single to a point of like, girl, I try to at least leave my house. Maybe will I bump into my future husband on my walk? I don't know. But I'm not gonna find him sitting at home. I'm not on any fucking apps. And I don't plan on being on any motherfucking apps. But nothing changes if nothing changes. So with this being said, friends, please consider changing something today. Don't wait for the perfect, that's another thing, waiting for the perfect circumstances. Oh, it has to be these ideal conditions. No. Perfectionism is going to get in the way of you actually achieving your goals. Just try it anyway. And trial and error, collect that data, and then continue to move forward. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate you. If you like this video and you want to keep hanging out and being friends, please let me know in the comments what's 1 thing, 2 things, 3 things that you want to change. And please include the steps with which how you want to change. Okay? I forget, her name is Colby Koslowski I did this retreat in Massachusetts at Kripalu Yoga Center. And she said to do a 1-degree shift. Like imagine if you were in a boat out to sea and you just changed your course by 1 degree, you would end up over the course of time going in a completely different direction. So you don't have to make these grandiose changes. You don't have to do anything like outlandish, you don't have to pick up your life and move, but you can make a 1-degree shift. Let's say if you're a writer and you want to write your book, you can choose to maybe play with your sleep schedule so that maybe you go to bed a little bit earlier so you have more energy, and you wake up, let's say an hour, half an hour earlier, and you use that time to write. Or whatever it is that your thing is, but nothing changes if nothing changes. All right, friends, I love you. Please consider liking this video, subscribing to my channel, and please go support me over on Patreon because your girl is officially teaching yoga there. I have a full lead primary series Ashtanga class where you see me doing lead primary series Ashtanga. There's some snippets here on this channel as well. And then I'm like actively guiding you through like Ekam inhale, Dve exhale. So please consider. Oh, and my yoga credentials as well. My first of all, sorry, I'm excited. I love yoga. Next video is why I love yoga. I'm new vibrating. But I started doing yoga when I was 10 years old. I found an Ashtanga yoga book when I was like a wee lass. And then I started, like I was doing that in my home. I started going to studios when I was 19. I did my first teacher training, my 200 hour in 2013. And I did my 300 hour, my second teacher training in 2017, 2018. I think 2017 or 2018, I can't recall. But then I started studying Iyengar yoga with my Iyengar yoga teacher, Lisa Rotel. And I studied with her 6 years, 6 days a week for 2 hours a day until she unfortunately passed away from breast cancer. But Lisa, her teacher was a woman named Mary Dunn, and Mary's teacher was Mr. Iyengar himself. So I was 2 degrees away from the lineage. And now my current Ashtanga yoga teacher, Michael, I've been studying with Michael. I had my little pandemic break, but I was still doing it. But since 2016, decade. And Michael's teacher is Sharat Joyce. So and before Michael started studying with Sharat, before, bless him, he passed, Michael's teacher was a woman named Kiki Flynn, and Kiki's teacher was Patabi Joyce. So I'm just like in it. I respect it so much, y'all. Like I really, really give a fuck. I know Ashtanga yoga, it can look and seem scary and intimidating, but it really, really is a practice that it can take you throughout the entirety of your life. We have people practicing in the shala in the room who are, I'm not joking, in their 60s, 70s, 80s. And they're not like, bussing it back, doing crazy shit, because they're at this point like 10, 15, 20 years deep in their practice, and they are making allowances for their bodies at this age, but they still are strong. And what I do love the most about Ashtanga, this is going to be a separate video at some point, my love for Ashtanga, is the community. Because you see the same people every day. Ashtanga, we practice 5 to 6 days a week. You see the same people every day. And my hope in creating this yoga platform on Patreon is, and also I'm doing live classes on Sundays, is that to build community of like-minded individuals who respect yoga, who care about yoga, who respect the tradition that it does come from India, who just want to learn. And I am beginner friendly. I am advanced friendly. I'm all of the levels. You do not need to have ever done yoga. You don't need to be flexible. You don't need to be strong. You can start from ground zero. But guess what? Nothing changes if nothing changes. Exactly. All the links are in the description box. I love you dearly. Please take care of yourself. Don't be too hard on yourself. Begin again. Change is not linear. Change is nowhere near linear. And slow progress is still progress. Okay, I love you and thank you for being here. Bye.